Welcome to another episode of the Southern Boating Podcast. I'm Ian Sneed.
I'm James Anderson.
And today we're going to have a short episode for you, but only because the articles are so great. We're really going to encourage you to go read them. The first topic we're going to talk about is the Axopar 29. The second topic we're going to talk about is the Spanish Virgin Islands. If you haven't heard about them, it's okay. We're going to give you enough information to get you excited and go check them out. Having said that, remember to subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
And if you want to get email reminders about these episodes whenever they go live.
And great content.
Click on the first link in our description and subscribe to our newsletter. Having said that, James, let's do this.
So the boat that we're going to talk about, we already discussed this, right? Is the Axopar 29 that debuted in Dusseldorf, right? And this is replacing the Axopar 28. And it is really a very much refined version of the 28.
Yes. I think that's a great way to describe it. A refined version of the 28, some expansion in length overall and beam, right?
Correct. Just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It was like 6 inches in length, 2 inches in beam, right? So it's not that much of a change, but all the other changes are what makes this the new 29.
Absolutely.
Right?
So what I took from the article just as a general theme was that it is like the Swiss Army knife of boats, right? Like it's a little shape shifting. You can, there's obviously 3 base models, but then from there you can
add a lot of different
features to optimize it to your preferred boating experience.
Right. And this is what we expect from Axopar.
It really is.
Knowing how they run themselves as a manufacturer, right? And how they like to kind of, we've talked about this before, copy the auto industry a little bit with the parts and how they go across multiple different vessels for them, right? So they can build things at a much faster clip.
Yeah.
But as well as parts are more readily available and so on and so on.
Yeah.
And that also helps them drive down the cost on building these boats. And it's just really, really, really smart. And I think it makes for a great boat, not only for beginning boaters, but now for the experienced boater, right? And what I really like about an Axopar many times is, you know, at first it was a design that you go, ooh, that's interesting, right? Now I'm more warmed up to that design, and it's more interesting to me, right?
Well, yeah, because
and now knowing the background too, it becomes even more interesting on top of that.
I think originally when you look at an Axopar design, you're thinking that's different than what I'm used to, right? That's your first reaction. And sometimes that makes people uncomfortable. Sometimes it makes people really excited because it's something new. So you had that when Axopar kind of entered the market. But now when people look at not just the design because of obviously it's Scandinavian design, but also the functionality behind the design and all of the freedom and options that it gives you, you're looking at that design and the appeal is deeper than just the design lines itself, but what that design does for you.
It's exactly right. Well, and it's like you said, the Scandinavian thing. What are Scandinavians for? Really understanding form, function, design.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Look at the IKEAs of the world. Look at how they build their houses over there. Look at everything. It's about form and function.
Yes.
And Axopar really spells that out besides all the other things, right?
Yeah.
So amongst the 3 different models, you got all these different options and everything is put in its place with a purpose. Not just because it looks great. It's because it looks great, it performs great, it makes it better.
And when you have something like that, that looks great, performs great, it's constantly improving. It's easy to grab any part that you might need in the future, right? All of that makes for a better boating experience. Absolutely. You become happier with the product because the ease in your life is so much better. Now, I mean, we haven't talked about, let me talk about the 3 types of the vessels, right?
Why don't you go over the 3 bases? And some of their options, because I thought that this was very interesting.
It's great. So they have the cross cabin. They have the center, the XC is the cross cabin. The CCX is the center console version. And then they have the sun top.
Right.
Now, each one has a little bit different of a purpose, right? The cross cabin is very much a weekender.
Right.
It's very much, you can go cruise for a weekend on it, right?
Right.
The center console is more focused for fishing and I would say outdoor water activities. And then the sun top is really, it's like a day boat.
Right. It's your
It's
sandbar.
your sandbar.
go-to.
Let's go have fun. Let's entertain friends. We
Right.
have family coming in from
like
out
the
of
day
town. Yeah, it's a great day boat. So when you think about that, you're like, okay, that's 3 great options. But then you have all the different layout options that you have up front, right?
And then more choices on it to layer on.
Exactly. So there's a lot of bow space. There's storage in the bow space. There's better visibility in each model, no matter what, because even the XC, that one has a wraparound window, right? So there's less obstruction
That's right.
than you would expect. And that makes it great as far as captaining the boat. You feel very confident running a boat where you have 360-degree views, right?
Right.
So the more visibility, the better. And they really went out of the way to make sure that you have that. A few other things, there's handrails integrated into the gunwales and a stabilizer. So
You have the option
to add the stabilizer. So with the handrails, if you get the stabilizer as well, like even if you're, running, you're going to feel comfortable and safe moving about the vessel. I think that was such an interesting way to do it as well.
It's very smart. And
It is.
I expect nothing less from them, to be quite honest, after so much time of seeing them, seeing how they perform, and seeing how they operate as a business.
Right.
None of this surprises me.
No, not at all.
And then your choices of propulsion too. So there's
Right.
3 different choices of propulsion.
Right.
And I love these 3 choices. So you can go with, there's 2 that are single outboards, right? You can have either a 300 Mercury, a 400 Mercury,
Right.
or you can have twin 200s.
Right.
Right? I think that's really smart, especially when we talk about the cross cabin that's more of your weekend boat, right? To do weekender trips and stuff like that. Because if you want to, go to an island and then stay on board, you have that flexibility. But then when you have...
There's also redundancy.
Exactly right. Because I'm not one that's a fan of crossing over to the Bahamas on a single engine.
Right.
I prefer for dual. And that's really important because, like you said, you have that redundancy factor.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's a safety
Adds a layer
thing,
of safety.
a peace of mind thing. Like, okay, even if something happens, right, I'm going to be fine because I still have the other engine that's more than functional enough.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, yes, I do like that power option the most personally. Although, if I were getting one of these, I would probably get the sun top. So I'd probably go with the single 400. But let's not get into that.
So you've got yours picked out, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. The 3 words I would want to associate with this vessel: versatile, comfortable, fast. Right. For what it is, it's a versatile vessel.
It's very versatile.
It's very comfortable. There's a cabin aft, right, and low. Above that, there's sunbeds.
Right.
So it's comfortable from the bow seating to sunbeds to cabins. Like there's more cabin space than just that
There's
as well.
a lot of functionality.
Yes, it's just they fit so much into it that it doesn't feel like it feels like a transformer.
Absolutely.
I don't. That just came to mind. I was like, it feels like a transformer. It changes into this incredible vessel. No matter how you want to use it, you can change it into exactly that. I just think it's
now
fantastic.
we know that Ian grew up in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, that's me, guys.
So, I would recommend go ahead, read about this.
Yeah.
It is going to be in our January. Got it right this time.
Yes, you did.
January 2025 issue, along with the Reader's Choice Awards.
That's right.
Right? Big issue for us.
Which we have episodes coming up on that. So stay tuned.
Got to stay tuned for Reader's Choice Awards. But let's move on to the next one. Our destination piece out of the January issue is one that I enjoyed because it's one I didn't know much about. Right. And one of my goals in life is to try and visit as much of the Caribbean as possible. Because I feel like I've grown up here in South Florida, so I've been a part to it, and I would just like to venture that way more than anything. I really like our subtropical and tropical weather.
I feel like the more you experience an area, right, the more you venture out in an area, the more that area kind of becomes a part of who you are because it's a part of your story. It's part of your day-to-day, right? So, I've only been here for a couple of years in South Florida. And already I want to do the same thing because I love it so much that I want it to be a part of my story of who I am.
There's just a lot of interesting stuff
right.
in this area of the world.
And the fact that the Spanish Virgin Islands kind of we're always talking about the U.S. Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, but the Spanish Virgin Islands, we have
rich in history.
Rich in history. I don't think we've touched on. But the great thing about it is, if you're a U.S. citizen, you don't need a passport to go to these because it's just east of Puerto Rico.
Right.
So
it's technically part of Puerto Rico, it is not? Yeah.
Yes. So it's U.S. territory, right? Yep. So that makes it great. Not just that, but because it's not overpopulated, right? You're not going to go visit the Spanish Virgin Islands and have to deal with cruise ships and the people on cruise ships. You're not going to have to go and deal with shopping malls and
there's not the mass influx of people that are traveling there. Right?
This is for people.
It's not somewhere you fly direct to either.
Exactly. This is for people that love nature, that love going out and exploring and being in nature without having to deal with all of the modern technology and issues that come from being back home.
I agree.
So I really loved reading about that. There are so many pieces of information in there that honestly, I was highlighting the entire thing and I stopped. I was like,
because you can highlight the whole article pretty much because there's so much valuable stuff in it.
So a few things that I did take out. The locals speak English,
yes,
right? And they use the US dollar. So it makes it very easy to go visit.
And understand.
What you're spending. And be able to tell people like, ¿Dónde está el baño? It's not, you don't got to worry about that just because it says Spanish in the name. So it's known for snorkeling. It's known for wildlife. It's known for diving. They have a wildlife preserve there. They have, let me talk about one of the islands, Culebra, which is snake.
Right.
There's no resorts, no developments, no malls, no cruise ships. It's real island life, right? And they're actually famous for their beaches. In the top 10 beaches around the world, like the beaches here
up there, yep,
are regularly on that list,
on
that
was
international list.
To me, right? That's what really struck me. I was like, how do I not know that? Because those are things that I usually search out.
Same.
Because a couple of them are here in Florida.
Yeah.
So we know about them, right?
Right.
You're always looking at that top 10 beaches of the world.
Right.
And I'm always looking at it and going, oh, which ones have I been to?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And now that I read this, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I got to check this out.
Yep.
Right.
And it tells you exactly the beach.
Yeah.
In the article.
So I think for me, this has opened up somewhere that now I want to discover myself, right? Because it offers everything that you're really looking for in a trip. So you can have water activities, you can have a land tour that's rich with history and archaeological sites, and just there's so much there. There's the history and the cuisine that goes into this because it is very unique. The colonization of this islands and so forth. And
you still get local culture, right? Just because they're in the US dollar and they speak English doesn't mean that the culture isn't unique.
They are not necessarily Americans like we are.
They're not continental US, right? They're not, because even if you go to Alaska, like it's a little different than the continental US. Even if you go to Hawaii, it's a little different than the continental US, right? Because those cultures, they got to develop kind of, even on their own.
Our U.S. Virgin Islands, right? It's different.
It's different, yeah.
So, and Guam, different.
Yep.
Right? But all the same. So it's very interesting. To me, it's opened up a new place that maybe I need to start looking at to travel to.
Yes, absolutely. And the great thing is it's so close to the U.S. Virgin Islands that like you can make this a part of your trip, a part of your itinerary. I just thought that there were so many notes of things that like you could come back here over and over and over again.
I agree. So my suggestion to you is if you're looking for a new place to travel down in the Caribbean, this is one that you might want to start reading up on and checking out. It's going to be easy to get there. It's going to be easy to converse with the people because a lot of them speak English, easy to understand your monetary issues down there because it's on the US dollar, so you don't have to worry about a conversion rate and understanding that at any point in time.
Right.
It's just a very convenient trip and offers a lot of things that all the other areas do, but have a little bit more barriers to entry onto those islands.
Right.
Right. So check it out. January issue, our destination.
Yep.
It is the Spanish Virgin Islands. Very cool place.
Fantastic.
So until next time, I'm James Anderson.
I'm Ian Sneed.
See you next week.
That's funny because I really want to do this. Like, since it's already recording, we have the mic going. I'm just. Oh, hello! I didn't see you there.
Really? That's because they're not here.
How about we talk about some boating today? It just so happens I have the December issue. You know,
Hold on. You know what we need to do?
What?
Is when I wear my cardigan one day for recording, and I'll do the Mr. Rogers thing.
Oh my god, that would
Dude,
be
how
great.
good would that be? Won't you be my neighbor? You gonna do the introduction or what?
Yeah. I just keep it.
You just
playing
can't help yourself with that
It's playing
one.
in my head. I can't help it. Okay, I got this. Ready?
You sure?
Yeah.
Can you hold a straight face now?
Oh yeah.
You sure? All right.
I'm good. Ready? Man, as I was saying, me and Sneed, I don't know, something moved and you see the little white box around our head. It made it look like that ship was moving behind me, and I legit freaked out. Like, what is happening?
What's moving?